Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we got a great episode for the Toyota guys out there. Last time you saw this, I think it was out at Maris, and we managed to knock off the side steps on his Predator steps there. So got those cleaned up. We just cut them off and grinded them smooth, and that's gonna hold him over for now. Today, we're actually gonna be adding the high clearance wings to the front of his truck. So he's already got the body armor Highline bumper, and we're gonna do the high clearance wings. So we're gonna be cutting into that pretty paint today and getting some new lights installed. All right, so this is everything he got. Body armor Highline wings here. Everything we need as far as parts and everything else to install there. And then he went to Rough Country and got new lights. So we're going to be installing these slim lights in the wings, and then yeah, he's got a new light for the front. So I think it'll look pretty good once we get all this done and wired up. Yeah, a little nervous about cutting into his paint, but we've done it before. I actually installed the Highline bumper on his truck, and we had to cut it up to get that in. So that was before the YouTube channel was ever a thing. But yeah, today you get to watch me install those. Hopefully we don't mess it up. He actually went out of town today, so just me and my helper. All right, let's get started. I was debating on if I wanted to try to leave the bumper on. The instructions say to remove the grill and then the bumper. I think it's doable leaving the bumper on, but we're gonna go ahead and follow the instructions today the way they want it done, and we're gonna go ahead and remove the grill and then the bumper. There's just some bolts on the top, a few plastic clips that we'll be careful with, and then we'll unplug his camera and whatever this thing is. Just make sure everything's unplugged, and we'll go ahead and get the grill off. So that's what I'm gonna start with now. So next up, we're gonna be removing the bumper itself. So to do that, the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna release the inner fender liner from the bumper. So there is 1, 2, 3 10mm bolts and then a Christmas tree, and then you should just be able to pull this straight out, and there's self-retaining clips or whatever that hold this fender liner in. You don't have to remove the whole fender liner, we're only removing the front portion, so you should get plenty of play from just removing those 3 10 mils and that one plastic retainer. Ooh, scary. Makes me nervous. I don't want to pull too hard against plastic. Actually, I'm gonna loosen up the fender liner, see if I can get to the back side of this and squeeze it. That way I'm not pulling too hard on it. I don't want to break anything. All right, let's get a closer look at this. So, never seen a plastic retainer like this. So this, your bumper slides in right here. So all I did is this pulls out. I took a screwdriver and pulled that out to get it over this lip right here, and then just popped it off. Kind of different. Never really seen a retainer like that. But anyway, not super hard. And then now I'm hoping that I can reach up behind here and fill the clip. Yep, there's the clip for the fender liner. And I don't want to, I'm just scared I'm going to pull too hard against it. I don't want to break anything. So I just wanted to get a feel of the backside. So I'm going to try to squeeze that a little bit if I can, or figure out how it pops in, and then pop that fender flare out. Just a little bit more finesse instead of just muscling it out so that I don't break anything. So now I can feel the where it's at. So I didn't even have to pull it at all. It's already it's already loose. All right, that should give us enough play there to get the bumper out. Might try to pop out one more. Yep, there we go. All right, so now we got plenty of room. Our fender flare is away from our bumper, and this side's free. So I'm just gonna repeat that process for the other side. Now there's 2 more plastic retainers here and here. He's got the factory fog lights, so we went ahead and unplugged this one right here. There is one Christmas tree right here that's into the body, or into the vehicle itself, for the wiring that's running to the bumper, so we'll go ahead and pull that out. Getting the bumper off itself is a little tricky, So on the sides, and I haven't done it yet, we're about to try it, but the way these slip in, they actually pop in from the side of the vehicle. So you got to pull straight out here and kind of towards the front, and it'll release both sides. So we'll do it on camera, and hopefully I don't mess it up. Whew. Sounds bad, but it actually was perfect. All right, so just reached up underneath, pulled straight out. Decent amount of pressure, but it pops right out and nothing's broke, so we're good. And now we'll do the same thing over here. So now we should be able to pull the bumper off. All right, there you have it. Now we got that off. Okay, so we got our stuff laid out. So you've got, we're just gonna start on the passenger side. So this is your bracket, and then it's gonna go into your factory mounting spots, which is right here. These nuts right here. So we'll pull those three out. We'll slide that on and then throw those nuts back on. And that's gonna be what actually holds your light itself. So gonna look pretty good when this is all said and done. Kind of excited. All right, once you get those three nuts removed, we're just gonna slide this on. And we'll throw the nuts back on. We're not going to tighten anything up yet though. As you can see, you got plenty of play and adjustment, so we're going to make sure that we get everything lined up and looking good. So right now, all these are just finger tight. All right, so actually, double check the instructions. So with these three, even though you've got all this play in it, it says to center those bolts in the slots of this mounting bracket and go ahead and fully tighten before you go to the other side. I think you've got enough play in these. So you've got your up and down play here and your left and right play in the bracket itself. So I think you've got enough adjustment with just once you mount these up to get it centered where it needs to be and make sure it looks good. So it says, like I said, just center up the slots into the bolts and go ahead and fully tighten these. So we'll go ahead and do that now. This one's fully tight. Now we're good to loosen off the other side and do the same thing on the other side. Now we've got everything mounted up on both sides. So what's next is we're actually gonna go ahead and install the lights into the wings themselves. The Rough Country lights, they come with their own brackets. However, the ones that came with the bumper are better because you got more play out of them. So for different light widths and everything else. So anyway, I've got the one side done. Just kind of centered it up. It's pointing straight right now. If we need to adjust it later, we can adjust it later. Surely we can find a way to get in there. But so for now, I just centered everything up and it's all sitting straight and flush. So anyway, there's our light in there with a bumper provided bracket, and I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. So, pretty easy on this, it's just tedious. Just getting everything lined up, centered and tight, and keeping it all where you want it. Next thing is on the inside here, we're going to install this rubber piece, and this is just where your new wing is going to attach to your bumper. You do have some excess here. I'm gonna wait to trim that because I want to see what it looks like on the bumper. I actually didn't wrap it around this tiny corner there. So I'm just gonna get it on, see what it looks like, see if I need to pull it off and move it up and try to get it to wrap around that to make it look right. So we'll just leave it as is for now and get it on there and see what we think. So the next step is you've got these double bolts that are welded to a plate, and then you've got a single one, same thing, welded to a plate. So what we're gonna do is you're gonna come from the inside, which is kind of hard now that I got a light in there. There we go. And then it comes with these plastic tabs. So once you got it slid through there, you can push these on, and that's gonna help hold that bracket in there where you want it. And that way Yeah, it'll hold it for you. Those actually aren't necessary for installation, but I mean, I don't know, you've got them. I don't know why you wouldn't want to use them. So we're gonna go ahead and throw this on and get everything finger tight. Not gonna tighten anything up yet. So we got everything finger tight, and now you can kind of see you've got play in this, and you can adjust it where it needs to be. This tab is just plastic, but it is just careful whenever you're moving it around. You don't want to scratch your wing before you even get to take it off road. Yeah, let's go get the other side. All right, so you can kind of see here on this piece, that's a sharp corner for this to wrap around. I went ahead and wrapped that side and trimmed it. And then this side is unwrapped. I think I'll go ahead and wrap it. Hopefully it doesn't want to come out of there. If it does, I'm sure we can take a razor blade and try to trim it. It does have metal inside of there, so I guess you'd have to do a little more than a razor blade, but it's not much. I mean, it's one of those fine details, but to me, I think it looks a little bit better with it wrapped. So whenever we adjust it, this is what we're looking at here, is this body line. So I'm just trying to make sure that everything looks good, like it flows up and looks natural and it's not out of whack or anything. And then once I'm happy with it, I'm gonna snug those down and our wings are officially mounted. I think good clean line on both sides. Looks about the same. The body line flows really well. It's tight to the bumper. And you can kind of see here how much clearance you're gaining. This is our factory fender liner, which there was a bolt right here that went through the bottom of the bumper. So yeah, you're getting quite a bit, especially the further out you go. Used to be down here. So anyway, I think it looks pretty good. One more quick look at it. Yep, looks good. Now we're going to, I'm going to hit those one more time, just make sure they're extra snug. And then we're going to go ahead and get all of our wiring done. We're going to mount that center light next. Take that old light out that doesn't even work, and we'll go ahead and get it all wired up before we do our cutting. We got the that old light out, and this is our new rough country. I was going to show you real fast. So it's got some really cool mounting options. So you've got your traditional pillars that mount on the sides. They do come with little rubber pads, which is nice. So got some anti-vibration to it to make your light last longer. So that's one mounting option, is the traditional side mounting. But you've also got this, which is really cool. So these actually slide in, and you can adjust it. And so you got a little hex keys in there. Snug it down where you want it right there. And then I'm not gonna be able to do this one-handed, but anyway, you slide this in here and put your bolt through, and then you've got a flexible mounting option. These then slide on, and you can adjust your angle however you want, and it locks it in place, which is pretty cool. And they also come with a little rubber isolator pad to make your light last longer. So really cool mounting options from rough country. However, none of them work for us. Sliding those in, it doesn't go wide enough for our mounting brackets, and then the traditional pillars are too tall. So we're gonna have to use these that came with our bumper. So we'll use these on the sides, and I think it'll get it to the right height. And then, so we'll get this center light mounted up. I'm about to go test fit it, and then I'll show you what we got. I got the factory brackets, or the brackets that came with the bumper. They're the right height for the light, and they're the right width, so that'll work. I gotta pull the cover off, obviously. That's cool that it came with a cover, but with this setup, obviously we're not gonna be able to use it. So, and the other bad thing is I had to go to my bucket of bolts and find my own stuff that would actually fit. The stuff off the old light did not fit, and the stuff that came with the light, it wouldn't work either. So anyway, no luck on the bolts. But yeah, we're gonna get this centered up and angled the way it should be and snug it all down, and then we'll start our wiring. Got the light up front, our two side lights. Looks good. All right, I will say the quality on these wiring harnesses are really good. So you got your relay. Only thing I don't like is the cheap switches. And that's one thing that he wants. he wants all 3 lights just controlled with one switch, and he wants more of a factory look on the inside. So we're gonna tie the switches in together and just do one switch for all 3. I'll go ahead and I think I'm gonna go ahead and do separate relays and everything for the fog lights, and then a separate relay and everything for the center light. So the only thing that'll be tied in together, I'm just gonna tie the switches in together inside the cab and get a better quality switch to actually put in the dash so that it looks a little bit cleaner. So we're gonna go ahead and sort this out. This is for the fog lights, so we'll go ahead and start getting stuff plugged in and routed. And the Tacoma's batteries on the driver's side. So I'm gonna go with our relay mount. We don't have a whole lot of wire lead coming off of the battery terminal leads. So we've got a good spot right here on the firewall. You want your relays, the wiring coming out down from the down position, so you wanna make sure that they're in a certain position. But I think we've got enough room. If we mount it to the fender wall right here, and then we can run our positive wire over, and I'm gonna mount the negative underneath this bolt on the side right here, which connects directly to the negative on the battery, so it'll be good. And then we'll just figure out where to run these down to our lights. All right, this wiring harness, basically the same thing, except for you've got a different kind of, you've got a big screw-in connector for your actual light down there. So other than that, the relay is the same, still a 40 amp relay, and your connections are all the same, and your switch is the same. So I'm gonna get it routed, and yeah, then we'll start zip tying wires out of the way. So for getting through the firewall, you've got that boot right there. So I've already checked it out. On the inside, there's plenty of room to cut it. So I'm just gonna cut a slit right there and then run our wiring through. So now we're underneath the dash, and you can see this. These are our new wires here, just coming through the side of that boot where I made that little slit at. So yeah, we'll just pull it through. Got everything zip tied up, went and got some zip ties, and I got a switch, so we're about to try to get that switch mounted. So anyway, everything's zip tied through there, zip tied underneath here. There's all my excess zip tied up out of the way right here. Wires there, nothing too tight, but nothing to get snagged on or anything. Still haven't connected it to the battery, but we're about to, so I can do a test. Relays mounted there, and then it's ran through that boot that I showed you down there. So what I've done in here is I've taken the 2 blues, 2 blacks, 2 whites, and connected them together and put them into the one plug. So now we've just got one plug, one wire coming up to the switch. I almost didn't have enough electrical connections. I had to dig for some, but anyway, this is the little cheap switch we got. He's actually gonna look for something better that'll plug into this spot right here next to the wheel. So anyway, what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna get everything hooked up on the battery, and then I'm gonna go ahead and test it, make sure that everything's good with the switch and everything. I'm gonna attempt to take this switch and mount it in this, which is gonna be a little tricky because obviously don't want to damage anything around this, but I've got this huge back plate here and all this stuff in here. So anyway, it'll be fun, it'll be tedious, but I'm gonna try to get that in there so it's a good clean install. And then down the road, if he gets a new switch, we'll just unplug the wires and plug in the new switch and be good to go. Very slowly with a razor blade, I managed to trim out the center. And so now this is that factory little bare plug that goes in right here. I just popped it out, cut out the center, managed to get my switch in. So pretty tight fit. It'll get him by for now until we get something a little bit better. So next I'm gonna climb up underneath here and just wrap my wires up and out through here if I can. We're good there. This is our switch, not quite as clean as factory, but it'll work for now. So let's just power on. We got lights. All right, so all the lights are working. Kind of wondering already if that big light bar in the middle is too high, but yeah, looks good. I know you can't really probably tell that much on in the video, but they're bright. All right, cool. Let's turn that off before we drain the battery. Now, we're moving on to probably the hardest part, and that's gonna be getting this bumper cut. So that's what we're gonna do next. We'll get it cleaned up, get a good spot to work, and yeah, get it cut into that clean, good looking paint. All right, here we go. Kind of got it propped up here. I'm gonna try to cut right here. We'll see how it goes. I might have to move it. This is why I wanted to leave it on the truck, is just for this reason right here, because it's super flimsy, it moves around a lot. But right now I've got it pretty steady. What I've done is on this side, so just a 1/4 inch below this line right here, I put a slight little Sharpie mark right there. And then on this side, you can see this notch right here. I've gone in between 3/8 and a 1/2 inch below that and put a Sharpie mark. So I've got it marked there and there. I'll probably bring that Sharpie mark around just a little bit so I can actually see it while I'm laying the tape. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the masking tape, and I'm actually just gonna go right on where I wanna cut. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come back with another piece of masking tape and put it just above the first one. But that way, whenever I'm doing it, and you'll see here in a second, I can see the top edge of my tape, and I know the top edge of my tape is exactly where I want it. And then I'll put another piece of masking tape just above it with a little bit of paint showing, and that way I can protect what we're actually keeping up on this side. Try to get this done and get it marked, and then I'll show you what we got before we cut. So this bottom piece of tape right here, like I said, you can actually see a little bit of my Sharpie right there. So that is in between 3/8 and a 1/2. I followed that all the way around. There's my Sharpie mark there. You can kind of see. So this, I'm just following this bottom piece of tape, just right at the top of it. And then I went ahead and put another piece of tape just above it to protect our factory, or the stuff that we're keeping, the good paint. So just in case, just a little bit of protection there. And I've left just the slightest gap, about a blade width gap between the two. I think what I'm going to use, oh, and another thing is I double checked the wiring for the fog lights to make sure it's up out of the way. So I'm going to cut on this side of it, and everything underneath should be clear and fine. So anyway, we're going to, I'm going to use a cutting wheel and a grinder, and I've got a helper here now that's going to help me hold the bumper in place, and we're just going to go real slow and easy, and we're going to try to get this line cut out. And then once I cut this side, I'll go ahead and test fit it and see how I like it, and that way I'll get a better idea for the next side, or for the other side. And then if we need to, we'll trim this up and get it to fit a little bit better. So all right, here we go. Whenever you use a grinding wheel, the plastic does just melt. It's not that big of a deal, so what I'll do now is, well, I'll let it dry and harden. It's already getting there. And then I'll just hit it with a file. Now I'm gonna go take it over there and let's see if we can get a test fit on it. Whenever we test fitted it, it looks like the end where we measured, just above 3/8 of an inch down, and then here where we just measured about a 1/4 inch down, all that looks good. However, right here through the center is entirely too low. So like I said, whenever I was laying the tape, I made sure to keep my tape straight. That way it wasn't flexing or bending. And yeah, apparently that's not right. Even though they say it's a straight line, it's not technically a straight line, because it's actually gonna, and it kind of shows that in their diagram. It does follow this ridge line right here, and then it's gonna kind of come back down to there. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna get this off, and then I'm gonna try to remark it. We're gonna try this. So you can see the tape over here is to our mark, and then the tape over here is to our mark. Try to get this running as straight as possible, and you can tell it kind of took out some of this corner, which is where we need it to come out at. So I'm gonna just try to trim it up to the tape where it's at. The tape should be pretty straight where it is. It's kind of hard right here because you're coming around that curve and everything, and the tape folds up. But all in all, it's straight. So we're gonna try this, and then after that, we'll just kind of spot trim. So still too low in this corner. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna follow that line, and then I'll bring it down on this side. Trying to follow this line right here. Trying to keep the tape more running with it, but at the same time it's got to drop down to get to our mark over here, because I do think our mark over here is good. But this corner right here was still way too low. So we're just going to try to follow this line a little bit more, kind of like we got the tape right there. Take out a little bit more of this corner, and then it comes back down to where it should. Let's try that before I trim too much. All right, another test fit. Okay, so we're getting close. Still need to probably come up to the tape. I didn't go up quite to the tape. We still got about a half an inch away from the tape. Yet another test fit. Okay, so we're real close from about right here all the way down. We need to go about an 1/8 inch off or so. I mean, a little bit more wouldn't hurt. So anyway, I've got my tape roughly marking where I'm at. I'm just gonna come up tight to the tape, because I'm not even tight to the tape yet. So tight to the tape, and then maybe just a little bit into the tape in a few spots. But yep, just ease off the last little bit, and it should be good on this side. All right, the final, hopefully, test fit. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with the fit of this. We're still, 3/8 to a half inch below that mark, and we're still a 1/4 inch here. I will say I probably could have gone a little bit more than a 1/4 on this side, but we'll see once the bumper's all the way on. So it fits in right now. It's not necessarily where I'm gonna leave it, but I'm gonna go ahead and get the other side trimmed, and that way I can get a full, proper test fit. Because I know, like right now, this end right here is touching the bumper, and I'm not going to have room for my gasket. But I want to make sure that the bumper's not flexed, and get the other side cut. So anyway, we're going to get the other side cut, kind of similar to this side. I'm actually just going to follow this line all the way, about a 1/4 below it, and then and then I'll adjust and come over to this mark on this side once we hit the curve. So all right, let's get the other side done. All right, going for hopefully what is the final test fit. So we got our final test fit. It looks good. If I didn't have to slide that trim piece on, it would probably be fine. But it's a little too tight, especially once we put that on. So what I'm gonna do is about right in here, roughly, I'm gonna take just an 1/8 inch off the whole way to the rest of the way off on both sides. After that, we'll go ahead and put on the trim piece, and then we'll go ahead and hopefully put it on for the last time. All right, so all we're doing now, we're just gonna go ahead and throw on that trim piece and put it back on, and hopefully we are done with that. We still gotta cut the fender flare, but that's pretty easy. All right, so it looks good. I'm happy with it. We are going to go ahead and trim the fender flares now. I'll show you on this other side. All we got to do for the fender flares is you just mark right at the top of your high wing and at the bottom of your little trim piece that you put on, just mark it on each side where it looks about lined up, and then you're just going to cut straight across that. I mean, it's that easy. I probably won't use a power tool to cut this one. I'll probably use something a little bit smaller, but yeah, we'll just go ahead and mark it, cut that straight across to follow that line of this, and then we're good on the fender flares. we're gonna trim this, the inner fender, that's what's next. So nothing crazy. I'm just gonna go pretty much straight from there, probably trim off the bottom 3 openings and go straight across over to the other side, making sure to stay below that so that it keeps the support for the inner fender. So anyway, we're just gonna take some shears and just trim straight across. That'll work for me. That's it. Nothing crazy, just like I said, just straight across. But yeah, should be pretty good there. So this side's completely buttoned up, so we're gonna go ahead and move on to the other side and we'll get it buttoned up. Last thing we gotta do is just throw the rest of our clips in. So remember, there's 1 up here on each side and then 4 along the bottom. All right, that's good to go. Now we are ready to throw our grill back on. Good. All right, so we are finally done. We got the high clearance wings on. Sorry, the lighting's not great because it's dark outside and I don't have just the best lighting in the garage. It looks good on this side, but as you can see, got a lot more clearance now. Had a few issues along the way, but nothing major. Took a little longer than I expected, but man, I think it looks phenomenal. And we'll go ahead and hit these lights real fast. Again, we got the single switch installed for all the lights. Oh yeah, those are bright. And we can come back later if we need to, and we can do some adjusting. For the center light, all you gotta do is pull the grill out, which that's super easy, just 4 of them. Pop out the grill and then you can actually get to it to adjust them. The sides, you should be able to reach them. It's kind of gonna be a pain, but you should be able to. But again, he's still got his factory fog lights, so these are really gonna be just off-road. So it took a little while, but I think the results are great. All right, guys, thanks for watching.